I've grown up playing football my entire life, and for as long as I can remember. And I grew up watching it almost all the time as well, too. So as I grew older, the idea of playing football at the next level became an idea to me that was the best thing that could ever happen to me. And just like that, the idea became an obsession. And as time went on, I began to see that football was not getting it done for me. I began to realize that I'm not going to be able to play the sport my entire life. And this realization actually really scared me because I believed that without football, I really didn't amount to a whole lot. And I was worried because I felt like I had put all my eggs in one basket. But I realized that if football wasn't the answer, then I knew something was far more important. And I actually came to this realization for the first time in 2014 during the Iron Bowl, otherwise known as the Kick Six. And as an Alabama fan, growing up in Auburn, the end of that game felt like the end of the world for me. I was completely devastated, and I felt like everything had fallen apart. And it was actually the words of my dad when he, came to calm the family down. He told us that at the end of the day, it's really just a game. And it really doesn't matter because what matters most is your relationship with Christ. And this really hit me hard because I felt like my whole life I had been building up something that actually didn't really matter. And I was worried because I didn't know where to go from that point in my life. And so as time went on, I began to realize that Christ actually was the most important thing. And I began to study more in His Word, and began to realize that in every aspect of life, Christ is there for you and has an answer for you. He's got a perfect plan for you, and all it takes is strong faith in what He can do for you. And so knowing that, I began to realize that I need to draw back on this obsession that I had with football and focus more on Christ. So after that, I began to see that Christ was the absolute most important thing in my life. And I began to try and do everything I could to get a stronger relationship with Him. And after that, my life began, this burden was actually relieved off of my shoulders. And I began to be so much more happier. And knowing that in the end, it doesn't matter if, I come down with an injury or if my favorite team loses the biggest game of all time. In the end, the only thing that matters is Christ and whether or not you have a strong relationship with Him, and making sure that I do everything I can to spread His news. So after realizing that football wasn't everything, I knew that just because I was obsessed with it didn't mean that football was a problem that I needed to get rid of in my life. So I began to realize that I could actually lead more people to Christ through leadership on the team. And so through this, we close our practices with prayers. I'm every game I always open up with a prayer. I always be sure to give thanks and glory to God for any of the blessings He's given me to be able to, and talents that He's allowed me to have on the football field. And for, any time I do something great, it's because God allowed me to. And I make sure to let that be known to my football players, whether it be through having a Bible study, inviting them to Bible studies after church, or, texting them a Bible verse before a game, to encourage them and let them know that God is there for them. My name is Hayes Cole. You can follow my example as I follow the example of Christ.